Hey guys, let's welcome Sree Lekhya. She's a blockchain developer from Kyber Network.
Hi guys.
So she'll be speaking on building and managing protocols on different chains. So go ahead, Sree Lekhya.
Hey, hi guys. I'm Sree from Kyber Network. I've been into Kyber for a year and a half. For today, my topic would be building and managing protocols on multi-chains. For today, my agenda would be what's Kyber DMM, integration with Kyber DMM, and deploying on multi-chains, followed by a short demo on deploying your contracts on multi-chains. To start with, Kyber Network is now positioning itself as a hub of liquidity protocols, which caters to different DeFi use cases. As a liquidity hub, Kyber connects to liquidity from various sources to provide best rates for takers such as dApps, wallet, DEXs, etc. Kyber is fully on-chain, and thus transactions are fully transparent and verifiable. Kyber DMM, what we call as Kyber Dynamic Market Maker, is one of our major protocols in the Kyber's liquidity hub. Kyber DMM is the next generation AMM designed to maximize the use of capital by enabling extremely capital efficiency and react to market conditions to optimize returns for LPs and mitigate the loss of impermanent loss. Kyber DMM is currently on Ethereum, Polygon, BSC, and we are launching at Avalanche coming soon. This capital efficiency and optimized returns are achieved by two simple mechanisms, right? One being the amplified liquidity pools with the help of AMP factor. This is where we virtually boost the liquidity of a pool by certain factor. LPs can create pools for stable pairs and for closely correlated pairs where the price actions are really small. We can have a really high AMP factor and provide best slippage, better slippage at better rates. For our stable pairs like USDT, USDC, with an AMP factor of 100, we have better rates than Uniswap and SushiSwap for certain values, right? If not for all. Even though Uniswap and SushiSwap has like the highest CVL out there, Kyber DMM defeats them in getting better rates. You can get this for 30,000 and for 10,000 range. We have better rates and better slippage. The second being dynamic fees. What we call dynamic fees is that trading fees are adjusted dynamically based on on-chain transactions, on-chain market conditions. In cases of volatile market, fees are increased to an optimum level to reduce the impact of impermanent loss. And in periods of low volatility, fees are reduced to encourage more trading. One of our community members have compared fees on normal AMMs like QuickSwap and Kyber DMM to prove that fees on Kyber DMM are quite great when there's high volatility in the market for most volatile pairs like USDC, ETH, USDC, USDT, etc. Coming to integrations, you can head over to docs.dmm.exchange for Kyber DMM integrations. We have smart contract integration there and also a subgraph. We also have a JavaScript SDK, which makes things easier and simpler. For Kyber Network, you can head over to developer.kyber.network for integrations and any other details you would require. You can join our Telegram and Discord channels as well, where most of us are quite active and we're really happy to help there. Coming to multi-chain, deploying on multi-chains. First thing would be, why deploy on multi-chains, right? We already have ETH, pretty stable and stuff. So why deploy on multi-chain? One reason being, everybody knows that ETH fees are going up crazily high, and these chains like BSC, Mate, Polygon, Phantom, etc., they're quite cheap and fast. Especially with the NFT gaming market booming up and everything, people are looking at different chains to make their transactions easy and fast and cheaper as well. Nobody really wants to spend a few $1,000s on gaming, right? So we can basically categorize all the different chains out there into two different categories, one being EVM compatible, the other one non-EVM compatible, right? What's EVM compatible? That's like basically Ethereum virtual machine. EVM is Ethereum virtual machine. You can consider EVM as a layer between your smart contracts and the Ethereum nodes. It basically acts like a channel to execute your smart contracts and deploy them on the Ethereum nodes, right? When you're considering deploying on EVM compatible chains, what remains same is that your Solidity, your Remix, Hardhat, Ethers, Web3, your MetaMask. Of course, there are separate wallets specific to different blockchains. Even though these tools were initially developed for Ethereum based, you can use them on most of the EVM compatible chains. What's specific to blockchain are your blockchain configuration, EVM versions, faucets and bridges, projects and integrations, and of course your deployment tools. Going into detail, like what exactly changes, right? What exactly changes from chain to chain on EVM compatible chains? First thing would be your blockchain configuration, right? When you have to deploy a smart contract on your blockchain, you'll have to provide the node URL, which is specific from chain to chain, like from Ethereum to Binance Chain to Polygon to Phantom, etc. They're different. You can get these blockchain URLs at their respective official websites, which I'll be showing you a little while later. When you're also, the second thing would be block time. Currently, Ethereum's block time is around 15 seconds. BSC, Matic are around 3 seconds or so. Lastly would be gas config and block gas limit. One of the major problems with Ethereum, everybody knows, it's gas. So gas is getting pretty expensive lately, and even sending your funds from one wallet to other costs you like a few dollars, right? So it's getting pretty expensive. So gas config might vary from chain to chain as well as the block gas limit. The second one would be EVM versions. When you're trying to deploy on other chains, you have to take note that the particular chain is accepting all the latest forks, right? For example, the latest Ethereum fork changed the way the gas is calculated. It might be highly likely that the chain you're looking at might not adapt all the changes either. They might have separate their own updates and slowly diverge from becoming less compatible as well. Coming to faucets and bridges, why do you need a faucet exactly, right? So as developers, when you're trying to develop and when you're trying to experiment new stuff, you can't really go and do it on the main net. You need a test net and you need fake money like test Ether or test BSC, etc., to carry on your transactions on testnet. So here I have listed out a few faucets and bridges. These bridges essentially will help you bridge your assets from Ethereum to particular chains. There are even few chains which XDAI has, which bridges from Polygon to BSC directly as well. Like you don't have to come to Ethereum in between. Like Polygon to directly to BSC, you can even transfer your funds directly. The bridges XDAI, I'm not sure of the name though. Yep. So most of these bridges support bidirectional, that is ETH to BSC and BSC to ETH. And Binance Bridge, if I'm not wrong, has a couple of other chains as well. Even Matic, they have a bridge and they have a separate wallet as well, as well as for BSC, they have Binance Smart Chain wallet as well. For all the list of EVM compatible chains, you can look at chainlist.org. There you can find all the list of EVM compatible chains and as well as the chain IDs and their official websites, which will help you get node URLs and bridges. Yeah. Lastly would be deployment resources and tools. This is the main thing, right, for developers to mostly check what are the resources available out there if you want to consider a split chain. For example, there's a new chain and you don't have proper resources, then it's a hassle for developers, right? So first thing would be your Solidity version. Most of the EVM compatible chains would be using Solidity. If not, there are other smart contract languages like Viper and Bamboo. Yeah, most of them would be supported by EVM, right? If suppose you want to migrate a particular dApps code into different blockchains, for suppose like TMM, we are currently on 3 to 4 chains. If suppose you want to go to Phantom, right, you would want to check that which version of Solidity is Phantom using or Optimism using, because when you want to migrate the code, you might have to handle with the syntax changes or between the various versions, right? The second one would be availability of API. For example, Kyber DMM uses graph protocols subgraph, which supports around 7 chains for now. This is a very handy tool which has your API endpoints very feasible to fetch data from the blockchain. You don't have to write a front-end code for it or develop your own APIs. This one is quite helpful to get to TVL, your volume and how much is locked into the pool, etc. So you might want to check what are the other options available on that particular chain, right? The next one would be projects and integration. Suppose you're building something new, right? Suppose you're building a new dApp on particular blockchain. You'd also want to know that what other projects are out there and how easy it is to integrate with their smart contracts, etc. For suppose RDMM, when we are planning to launch on a new chain, for example, now our launch, we actively look at what are the other projects, what are they building, and how can we differentiate, right? For Kyber DMM, because we already have a very unique differentiating factor with our AMP factor and as well as with our dynamic phase. It also helps us. It also helps us, and as well as the DEX aggregators to integrate with us and boost the liquidity and have provide takers very good rates and slippage. Next would be testnets. Of course, for faucets and testnets are like lifelines for developers. You might also want to check how many testnets do we have for the particular chain. Next thing would be debugging tools, the most important, I would say, for developers. Because most of these EVM compatible chains are using the same interfaces as the Etherscan, you can debug in their respective blockchain explorers like BSC Explorer and Polygon Explorer, etc. Apart from these explorers, one tool which would be very handy is Tenderly, which supports almost most of the EVM chains, if I'm not wrong, EVM chains, mainnets, and as well as testnets. This can be very handy and easy to debug if your contracts are verified, and you can import them into the Tenderly, and you can exactly know what went wrong or where exactly is your code breaking. We use a lot of Tenderly and stuff in our day-to-day life. The other one would be Remix. Even Remix has a debugger which is really handy and which can really help make life easy for developers. The next one would be deploying on non-EVM chains, right? For example, like there are many other chains out there in the DeFi world. The major ones I would say which are gaining a lot of traction out there are Polkadot and Solana, right? Solana because it's one of the fastest blockchain at the moment, and it can do like wonders in a few seconds. And the next one would be Polkadot, a very fast growing ecosystem. However, Polkadot doesn't support smart contract integration directly. It has something like EVM Palette, which allows parachains to support EVM and almost all direct ports to Ethereum. The project which supports EVM Palette are Clover, Moonbeam. Like Moonbeam also has bridges and faucets for developers, like their own native bridge and faucet, which can be used to bridge your assets from Ethereum to Polkadot, as well as Clover, Parastate, and Polka Foundry. Yeah, even these supports EVM, and you can get started with developing on them as well. For Solana, although they use the same as smart contracts, but it's built on Rust. So for Solidity developers, to migrate your code from Solidity to Rust might take a few days, but yes, it's quite possible to do that, right? It's the same structure as how it works. So for Solana, right, they have a native bridge, like it's called the wormhole. It is bidirectional. You can bridge your assets from Ethereum to Solana and back from Solana to Ethereum. This bridge can be really helpful if somebody wants to start working on Solana, because the gas is quite cheap there, and it's a fast-growing ecosystem as well, with a lot of new dApps and new projects coming up. So now I have a small demo session to show you deployment on different chains. I would include deployment on Robston and also on BSE. Just give me a moment. So for this demo session, right, I'll be using Hardhat. People can also use Truffle, but for Truffle, they will need to include a few other details like chain ID. This is what I was talking about, chainless. You can find all the EVM supported chains here and all the chain IDs, and you can just instantly connect your wallet and get over. I'll be using Hardhat today to demonstrate this a demo session. Firstly, I'll be making a directory called demo, and then I'll just try to npm in it. Why most of the smart contract developers use Hardhat is because they have a very cool documentation, which is like really straightforward, and you can just get started with their overview, and you can start building as well. So I'll go ahead and install my Hardhat here. Quite simple if you follow their documentation. One of the main reasons I would suggest developers to use Hardhat is because they support all the EVM supported chains, and they have this cool feature of mainnet forking, right? What mainnet forking essentially does is you can work with the production contracts as though you're working on the production mainnet, but on your local development. It will simulate the same way as it is on the mainnet. It is quite a cool thing, I'd say. This is taking quite a long time to install.
Hi, Sree. If somebody's asking to zoom in there, I think they might be watching it on their phone.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that should be good. Thank you.
Yeah. So I was talking about mainnet forking as well, right? So for users, for developers who are deploying on multi-chains, MetaMask is one simple and hassle-free to use. So if somebody doesn't know how to add their testnets here, I've added BSC recently, like just for this demo. You can go to the custom RPC, paste the network name, like for suppose if I do maptic testnet, and copy the RPC URL. So how do you get the RPC URL, right? So you can just type matic RPC URL and Google will fetch it for you automatically, right? So this is Polygon's documentation. They have all the RPCs mentioned here. You can just copy paste any of them here. Oh, I lost this. Any of them here to your MetaMask. So I just type Polygon testnet or RPC. Okay, sorry. You can just copy paste your chain ID over here and just get started with it, right? Yep. So let's see how far is this done. Oh yeah, we are done here. So now let's create a sample project here by this doing this. It will ask you to create a sample project or advanced or empty Hardhat config. I'll just get started with creating a basic sample project. So my project is created now. I'll be using Visual Studio Code for this demo. You can also use your basic terminal as well, but I'm comfortable using Visual Studio because it's quite easy to navigate between folders and stuff. So this is how your basic basic project looks like. So they have a sample contract over here, which is called greeter, which prints. Yeah. So one of the cool features with Hardhat is also console log, right? You can console log in between your contracts. So the sample will give you some scripts to run this. and also test scripts to run your contracts. So the first step would be to compile your contracts. Just doing this. So while you're deploying on multi-chains, the main thing you need to take care of is your hard hat config file. This is the basic or the template which your hard hat will give you. Like it just has this. The default network which hard hat uses is the mainnet Ethereum. When you want to deploy it to the testnet or to the BSC, you'll have to include a networks section over here. For this, you'll have to add your Ropsten URL and your account's private key. If you're not sure how to get your account's private key, you can get it from MetaMask. Firstly, I'll do it on Ropsten testnet, right? So you can go to the account details. You can type in your password and export your private key. It's as simple as that. And for Ethereum, if you want to get your RPC, you can use Infura. Infura gives you free RPC URLs, and you can it's basically free of course, so you can just use it as it is, right? So I already have my contracts compiled over here. Once you compile the contracts, you'll find this artifacts folder. This artifacts folder, you can just ignore all the other files, but just look at this greeter.json, right? What this greeter.json does, I mean, what does it has? So it has your ABIs, it has your contract ABI, which can be really helpful in the case when you are when you want to fetch the data from, or you can just it's very handy to get your ABI into the folder. It also gives you the contracts bytecode once it's deployed, correct? Right. So in the hard hat config file, what needs to be changed is this section. This section, you have to include this network section. I've included both BSC and Ropsten over here. What it needs is two things. First thing, a node URL, and the second thing is account's private key, right? So accounts private key is an array. So we have included this because I'm using a .env file. I've just included my Ropsten URL and a private key. Now let's go ahead and deploy our contract on Ropsten URL, Ropsten testnet. It's just as simple as this. All these deployment commands and all these are readily available on hard hat documentation. It's quite simple and easy to, you can just find it over here. Oh. I'm just trying to run the sample script over here. This sample script called deploy, what it does is basically get the contract greeter, which is here in the contracts folder, and it deploys it to us, and it will console log us where the greeter contract is being deployed, right? On Ropsten testnet, we can go ahead and check where it is deployed. Usually when you're doing this every day, it's fine, but suddenly on a presentation, you're quite panicked and all these things happen with my system that it's not quite responding to how it has to respond, right? Anyways, so as I said, hard hat will be using the default Ethereum mainnet. You'll have to specify which network you're using. So to specify which network, just type network I'll be using Robston now. So Robston, yeah. In a few minutes, you can see that this will be deployed on Robston testnet. Meanwhile, let's just go to Etherscan. You can find your navigation to Robston testnet over here. As soon as this gets deployed to Robston testnet, you can go and check like whether it's deployed or not. It's quite simple. In any case, if you're not sure how to get your Robston ETH, there's a faucet, MetaMask faucet as well, and even crypto.com faucets, and there are a couple of other faucets you can get your test Ether. Just paste your address, just connect your wallet and request Ether from the faucet, right? Okay, this is taking like really long. It should have been done by now. Yeah. So while it's getting deployed, right, let's see how to get your test BNB first. So this is the official Binance faucet. You can just paste your Binance Smart Chain address here and just request for some BNB. I already have some BNB on my account, so I'm not requesting for new ones. Just now, as I demonstrated, you can add the RPC URL. Okay, for the RPC URL, this is where you go for, like docs.binance.org. All the chains will have an official website where they list all their RPC endpoints. You can as well use some of the free website which gives super fast endpoints like Morales, for Ethereum, especially Alchemy and Infura, etc. Okay, see, this is done. A greater is deployed at this address. It gives you the address where the contract is deployed. So let's go ahead and check if it's deployed or not. So yeah, 51 seconds back, it's just deployed. You can find your contract here. Using hard hat, this is one of the, another benefit of using hard hat is your contracts get verified automatically. Most developers feel comfortable using Truffle as well. You can use Truffle too, but in case of Truffle, most of the cases, the contracts are not verified, but it depends from contract to contract again. And in Truffle config, you'll also have to specify the chain IDs, especially. Yeah, that's the major difference, I would say. The other things would remain the same. Yeah, let's go ahead and deploy on Binance Smart Chain, right? So for Binance Smart Chain as well, it's quite simple. I've named it as BSC testnet. You can name it as whatever you feel like, maybe BSC or testnet or whatever. And the same thing, a node URL and an account private key, right? Now let's go ahead and deploy on. I'm not changing any. I'm not giving any changes to the contract or to the ABI, anything, etc. Same contract can be deployed on multiple EVM compatible chains. That's how simple it is using hard hat. So I'm now specifying the network as BSC testnet. I hope this doesn't take as long as it took on Robston, but still, yeah. So once you get the BNB from Faucet, it will be easier for you to deploy on Binance Smart Chain. In case you get some errors while deploying this, right? Okay, this is deployed, great. In case you get some errors, right, while deploying, one of the main reasons why you get your errors would be either your account doesn't has enough funds, like the test ETH or test BNB, or they could be that, there could be a chances that your code has some problem, right? This is the testnet for BSC. The UI feels similar to Etherscan, so it's quite easy for ETH-based developers to do it on this. So yeah, quite simple. It's deployed on this as well. This is where your contract is. This is your contract. It's verified and it's just simple. Yep. So now I'm done with my demonstration. It is similar with other chains as well. Like you just go ahead and give any other network like Polygon, testnet, etc., or whatever you feel like whichever chain you want to deploy going ahead. You can just give the URL and account private key, and it's as simple as that. As long as it is EVM compatible, you can use this approach to deploy your contracts. For the dev tools, I recommend Hardhat, Tenderly, Remix, and for the front end, you can use Ethers as well. I'm done with my session today of building and managing on different protocols. If you have any questions, happy to answer them.
Thanks, Sree Lekhya. That was really great. We really enjoyed the presentation. The demo was really interesting. Thanks for answering the questions on the go as well. I have one question though. So I've received this question. Some of the new chains are now interoperable with Ethereum. Does that mean layer 2 solutions will become obsolete in the future?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? Layer 2 solutions?
Sure. Some of the new, I'll just paste it if it's easier for you here on the screen.
Sure.
Yeah.
Have you pasted the question now?
Yeah. Some of the new chains are now interoperable with Ethereum. Does that mean layer 2 solutions will become obsolete in the future?
Okay. Ethereum layer 2 is totally different, right? Like it works on proof of now the Ethereum is proof of work. Okay, later on it will be proof of work. Okay, I have the question now. Some of the new chains are now interoperable with okay, in the future, like when we have layer 2, right? For example, now Polygon itself is a L2 solution, but it's greatly dependent on Ethereum as well. But it also works on proof of stake. So according to me, I wouldn't say that going forward, layer 2 wouldn't become obsolete or anything. Yeah.
Okay, great. Sree Lekhya, I think that's all the questions we have, but I will like to ask you for our audience a general question, which is how did you get into blockchain and how do you see yourself progressing in this space as a developer?
As a developer, initially, I was a traditional stack developer, like working for a company, like a traditional company into DevOps, right? How I got into blockchain was, I would say, by chance. I just took a chance and I was interested into what it looks like and how it goes about. So then I just got into this, and this is a new space. Every day there's a learning opportunity, and every day there's something new to learn. Especially when you're into full stack or traditional development firms, you only do your task. Like this is what you're supposed to do. This is what you do. But in blockchain, it's quite different, right? Every day you can learn new things. There are new projects every day, new integrations every day. So your learning experience, it's a graph. It's a learning graph always. Like the learning never ends. I see myself in the future. I would say maybe like I'll just be learning new stuff every day and probably build something my own one day. Yeah.
Yep. We are waiting to see that happen. And thank you so much for the session. Thanks, Sree Lekhya.
Yeah, thanks, Sree. Absolutely. We look forward to what you build, Sree. We certainly do. Thank you. That was a great presentation. Thank you, everybody who joined in.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Next session begins in 10 minutes. We're speaking with Crowd for Angels CEO Andrew Adcock. He talks about payments, regulations, and crypto as a regulated business. This is also another informative session. Please join in the next 10 minutes. Thank you. See you then.